got shut down for some kind of bank fraud. But E.F. Hutton, they used to have commercials. When E.F. Hutton speaks, everybody is quiet and listens. Because E.F. Hutton knew what the hell they were doing. I guess until they got shut down for some kind of bank fraud. Because I don't see those commercials anymore. So, when Kent Beerley explains something, spends the time to write many answers on Facebook, and then somebody comments 4, 5, 6, 7 down their line about the same thing that I just explained, they're not listening. Listen. Read and listen. You're entitled to your opinion. But when your opinion is not taking into account the stuff that's been explained already, just listen. Don't be a hater. Don't be a naysayer. There's enough naysayers. There's enough haters. There's enough of that around. There's way too much of that. This is bodybuilding, for Christ's sakes. This isn't real life. This is a hobby. A hobby that a lot of us have a lot of time and money invested in. That's what it is. That's all. So when I try to do something to make it better, that's what I'm trying to do. Make it better. So when I say something I'm going to do and I'm going to try, why don't you just wait and see? I had somebody today say, I will never compete in an organization that scores a routine. Okay, so that half a point, or that 1 point that you may, well, okay, number one, you're assuming that your routine sucks and you can't score an average routine. Any moron, let me just put it this way. Anybody goes out there and does a decent double bicep, does a lat spread, does a leg back pose, goes out there and does a general, I couldn't write it up any easier. Go out there and do 8 poses. Spin around, show your stuff. Don't half-ass it. Don't be out there and like, I'm done, I'm not doing this. Don't half-ass it. Go out there, hit your best poses, wave to the crowd, and walk off. You will not be scored negatively by doing that. For some reason, people must think that I have to do a Fred Astaire dance routine in order to get an average score. No, it works like this. -1 means the judges know that you don't give a crap about your routine and you did it half-ass and you look like an idiot out there. That's a -1. So that's pretty extreme. I don't know many people that really do that, but there will be 1 or 2. A 0 means average routine. So I would say 95% of the people will get a 0, which means your score will not be affected 1 bit. Now, you do a routine, you come out and you're like, bam, bam, you're like, oh, let me show you. You're like, pow, you're like, man, I'm not dancing, am I? You're like, oh, you're doing all this good, you're just wowing the crowd with your impressive physique, your display of your physique. You get a 1. A 1. Woo! A 1. Now, if you come out, you bring the judges to tears because you're so impressive with your choice of poses. Not because you're doing backflips, no costume, no Michael Jackson moonwalk, no mask, no cowboy music. You come out and you're like, oh my God, that's the best routine I've seen in 50 years. And I'm 50 on Sunday, so I could say that. The best I've ever seen. You might get a 2. A 2! Okay. So now I've set the scene. Now there's 7 judges, 9 judges, 11 judges, whatever there is. You're going to add up all the judges' scores. All of them. You're going to find an average. Now, what's the odds of every judge giving you a 2? First of all, it's like a job review. Who gets a perfect score in a job review? Has anybody ever got one? I haven't. And I deserved it, but I never got one. So, you might get 2s from maybe 3 judges, and maybe the other judges thought it was okay to get a 0. Why should the judging on routines be any different than judging on prejudging? Very unoften, unless a guy comes in and blows people away, do they get straight 1s across the board or straight 2s across the board, unless it's just totally different. Very rarely does that happen. So why should the routine scores be different? Nobody hits a perfect score, so let's go back to that. So there won't be many people with 2s. Maybe 1% of people. So now let's go back to that. Take the average. Okay, so now your average is, say you got a bunch of 1s, you got 1, 2, maybe you got 2 2s, you got 1s, you got 0. Maybe somebody really didn't like you, they got a -1. I don't know why, but there's a lot of disparity in judging scores, so be realistic. Don't say, oh, that wouldn't happen to my shows. Well, it does happen. It does happen. People are people. Subjectiveness is everywhere. And you may not be from the gym that's promoting the show. Who, they're going to give you a 2? No. So, you take the average. The average. Add it up, divide, you know, for those of you that don't know what average means, if you got 11 people, you add up their scores, you divide by 11. That's the average. That should be a question I should ask Matt and Steve. So now your average might be a 1.1. 1.1. Now you're going to deduct that 1.1 from your total score on your mandatory. So say if you had 20 points, you're going to minus 1.1 from that. So your score, your final score will be 18.9. So we've really changed the scores. I went through my score sheets today for my last show. 25 classes, 85 people. Each class had about no less than 6 or 7 people, and some had up to 10 or 12 people. So the combinations of the complexity of how many types of scoring is like infinity and beyond. 2 ties. 2 ties. 2! So guess what? It all comes down to the posing routine. Who does a better pose? If I could post the scores before the routines, how cool would that be? They know they're tied. Who does a better routine? It's almost like Death Race 2000. I want the scores out there. But we're not going to do that. But yet, the judges will know. How exciting would that be? Well, they won't know either. The tabulator will know. So say you're a person who's 1 point behind. 1 point. It was so close. You got 1s, you got 3s, you got 5s, you got 2s in your score, because that's the way the scoring goes. Be realistic. So basically you're essentially tied. But you're going to be deducted. You're going to minus 1 point. So you got 19, the other person got 18. Say they got all 0s, which is a good routine. Their score doesn't change, so they're still at 18. You get 1.1 minus from 19. Where are you at? 17.9. And guess what? You win. You win. Now, I don't know, are you guys up for that challenge? Because that's as small as it is. And that's what it will do. It will break the ties. Because that's essentially a tie, 19-18. I don't even know if that's even possible. They could do it, but that's what it does. So, put together a routine. 60 seconds, 70 seconds, 90 seconds. It's anywhere from 60 to 90, depending on the show and the turnout and participation. Smaller shows get up to 90 minutes. And that'll be disclosed when we put the applications out. My show coming up in Brick in September 14th, it'll be 60 seconds because we're expecting 70, 80, 90 people. So if you know ahead of time, you know what to do. So, put together a nice routine, practice your posing. Now look, let's not get crazy either. 95% of you guys can't pose anyway. So how about we just skip the prejudging? Because sometimes I've gone through this, go back and look at my posts about posing about 3 months ago. Learn how to pose. I don't even want to get into that. Learn how to pose, put together 10, 12 poses, and you get a 0, so their score stays. Or go for that 1 point. Now I'm going to be honest. There won't be many 2s. There might be 1, 2 a show. But that means that every judge has got to give you a 2 in order to get 2 points. Now that's not going to happen. So let's not get carried away. It's not going to make a 5th place person a winner. It's not going to make a 3rd place person a 1st place person. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. But it will make the people that are tied, or essentially tied off by 1 point, it'll give them an opportunity. Now they're not going to know. but they'll know if it's close. You want to seal the deal? Put together a nice routine. Do me a favor. This is your homework. Watch Pumping Iron. I've said that 2 or 3 times. 2 or 3 times on Facebook. Watch Pumping Iron. I had the same discussion with my wife. She said, it's not fair if somebody's a better dancer than blah, 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 blah. Same thing everybody else said. I said, have you ever watched Pumping Iron? Have you ever watched the old school guys pose? It's time. So, we watched it. You know how the opening scene is? Arnold and Franco are in a ballerina studio learning ballet. Why? Tell me why. Cliff Wilson, are you raising your hand? Is that you in the back? Cliff, why? Come on, big Cliff, give me the answer. Cliff, I like you. I never met you, but you're a cool dude, man. You're always... A debate is good. We don't always agree, but we're always on the same side, so that's cool. So I'm not really picking on you. I think you're a cool guy, and I know my buddy John Garofano talks a lot with you. He has very good words for you. So, what's the answer? Why is he doing ballet, Cliff? Cliff, I'm going to sway you to my side, because I know that we think the same. Okay, Cliff, what's the answer? Why is he doing ballet? To learn how to present his physique and his routine the best way that he could. Watch Pumping Iron. Cliff, show that, give that to all your clients as homework. John Puskarich, he's an excellent poser. He loves the idea. He loves it because he knows if he could squeeze a point, he's always in a dogfight. John is I've never seen a guy in more shows where he's in a dogfight. If he's winning or losing, it's by 1 point. Every time. So John, now's your chance. You can squeak that point back. That's all. Now, does that make it better? Or does it make it worse? Remember, I am a competitor. So I'm like, sheesh, I hate freaking routines. But I put the mask on. I do the whole costume thing. And I go with it. And I have fun. And you know what? The promoters, which I am, they ask me, are you bringing your costume with you? What costume are you going to do? They love it. So me as a promoter, I love it because you know why? Because when you have interaction with the crowd loves it. I watched a video from 2000, our first show, 2007. I guest pose at my own show all the time, but shh, it's a secret, don't tell anybody. I guest pose at my own show all the time. They don't know it's me because I have a mask on. I go out in the crowd. I see people with pictures. I grab them. I take pictures with them. I have somebody take pictures. Interaction with the crowd. We're not millionaires. We're not snobs. Interact with the crowd. They love when I'm on stage and I do my stuff. They love it.